Hi, I'm Dave Herring. I work as a nutritionist. I live in Washington, D.C. I have been vegetarian and to vegan since 1996, so it's been about 26 and a half years now.
Cool. And what made you do that?
I was in graduate school studying nutrition. Dr. Neil Barnard came to Cornell and did a talk on nutrition-related discussion about vegetarian and veganism. But he did also touch upon like animal rights and stuff, like some animal issues he talked about, like sort of almost like to the side. And he left some materials with us. And so I was mostly interested, because I was studying nutrition in grad school, I was mostly interested in the nutrition part of it. And previously, before that, maybe 2 years earlier, I had tried to like be vegan for a short time. And then I went back to like eating some like meat, but very little at that point. So maybe like twice a week. So after Dr. Barnard was there, I took some of the material that he left for us and I started reading it, and it had a lot more about the animal industry than what he talked about in the presentation. The presentation was definitely more nutrition focused because it was for the nutrition department at Cornell. So it really sort of made me open my eyes and, sort of combining like the animal issues with the nutrition. I said, I don't really need to eat this stuff to get all the nutrients that I need. In fact, it'd be better for me, and certainly better for the animals, and also better for the planet. And so then I just sort of made the decision to do it. And so I told my roommate at the time, I said, okay, once I finish everything from the freezer, I'm done. And I remember the day, it was March 7th of 1996, and I said, this is my last chicken breast. And I ate it, and I said, that's it, and that was the last one ever.
Has that changed over the years?
Over the years, definitely been more towards the animal issues. Like, the more and more I learned about animal agriculture, the worse it got. Like, the more I was like, wow, how do people like stay eating this stuff with like knowing what's going on? The thing is, people don't know what's going on. Like, it's not really made public. Look at like packages of like sausage and stuff, has these happy little pigs on there. Like the messages are just never like truthful about like what these animals go through. And so I did it for myself, for like nutrition, but also to like for the health of the animals, obviously, and the health of the planet as well.
Did anything change, like physiologically, mentally, emotionally, after you went vegan?
I definitely felt less guilty about eating. Also, I would never like feel like so like physically like so stuffed. I don't know what the difference was. Maybe I was just eating less food or something, but I never had like a bloated, like really full, overly full feeling. And that's nice, but I mean, that wasn't the most important thing. But definitely like feeling less guilty or just less bad about it, that was very present. And I'm so glad now. I can't even imagine going back, like knowing what I know now. Like, there's no way I would ever want to eat that stuff again.
Considering your knowledge or in your education and all regarding nutrition, is there anything about the science and your nutritional research and studies that says we need to eat animals?
No, nothing that I know of like points towards like you have to do this. Yeah, maybe it's easier to get like a lot of protein and a lot of whatever through animal products, but that doesn't mean it's better, or doesn't mean that you need to do it. Like, clearly, you think about cows. Cows are, I don't know how much they weigh, more than 1,000 pounds. They're not eating any like animal products. They're mainly eating grass and oats and hay or whatever. Elephants, the same thing. Like, you can certainly get everything you need, and protein, of course, is the thing people think about. You can get everything you need out of plant products. And like, here at this conference where there's 700 plus people, and I would imagine most people here are vegan or vegetarian, at least leaning in that direction. Like, we're clearly like living proof you don't need to depend on these things. And in fact, you can live so much better and healthier and happier and honestly guilt-free if you don't depend on these things.
Now, what's the most compelling research or science or evidence that you think is out there saying plants are protective, and maybe even saying that animals might be a risk factor?
Well, I do watch Dr. Michael Gregor's nutritionfacts.org podcasts and his videos, which come out a few times a week, and his blog. And I watch and read every single one of them. In fact, he was just in there and I was, of course, starstruck, even though I've met him 20 times by now. I love like the stuff that he does. I have all his books, and he really he and his team go through thousands and thousands of articles, like synthesizing like the connection between food and disease, and inevitably it comes up with the more plant products you get, the better. And the more animal products you get, the worse. Like, and he, goes through all of these articles, and that's what he comes up with. And like, I love reading his stuff. I love watching the videos, and there's none that I've missed. and I love his books too, and he has good cookbooks to go along with. PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine with Dr. Bernard, they have great information about preventing diabetes or taking care of reversing your diabetes. They have plenty of information that is really compelling, and that just eliminates all animal products, and it's probably very low on the carbohydrate, certainly processed carbohydrate scale, but that isn't, talked about as much, I don't think.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth mentioning that Dr. Gregor at least cites all his sources, and those sources aren't him.
He comes out with a lot of books, and so he has one, How Not to Die, and How Not to Diet. One of the more recent ones is How Not to Diet, and so I got it, and so it's a thick book. And he said, it doesn't come with any references, and it has like a link to, for references, click here, like the online version, but also in the book it lists it. Because the references, he said, would be the thickness of that entire book, just the list. Because there are thousands and thousands of articles. Yeah. So in order for him to include it in the book, he said it would be double the size. If he would, write out the full reference. So rather than that, he just cites the name or whatever. And then for the full reference, you go to some website. But it's impressive to see a book that big that doesn't include the references, because that would make the book enormous. Yeah. He's not citing his own research. Like, as far as I know, he doesn't do research. He just sort of collects it and synthesizes it and makes sense out of it and tries to translate it from he's a medical doctor, hey, this is what these articles say, this is what you can do about it, and then here's some recipes to sort of put it into action.
Yeah, that's cool. So now, what about family? I mean, you've been doing this a long time. Has it been hard with family, your social life, stuff like that?
It was initially my family, when I came home for Thanksgiving and I said I wasn't gonna have turkey, my family was a little taken aback at first, but after, I'd say, probably the first 2 Thanksgivings, it was nothing. Then my mother would make stuffing that didn't have chicken stock in it, and it didn't go inside of the bird. It would, I had my own little bowl of stuffing that went in the oven separately, and they just sort of adopted to it, and they're oh, he went to graduate school for nutrition, he probably knows what he's talking about. And so I have 2 sisters and a brother, and one of my sisters, she's sort of on and off vegetarian, and then I have 2 nieces, and one is definitely vegetarian, the other one is sort of, oh my God, here comes Dr. Gregor himself. That's my hero there. This is not set up, but he happens to be passing by.
Hey, photo bomber, you. We were just talking about you.
In a good way,
Oh, that's epic.
That was unplanned. But we knew he was somewhere around this building. So I have 2 nieces, so one of them I know she's pretty much full-time vegetarian, and the second one I think she's, if not fully vegetarian, at least part-time. So I think I've had a little bit of influence on my family.
Oh, awesome. Now, could you be with somebody who isn't vegan?
I don't know. I have a boyfriend now, and he wasn't vegetarian or vegan when I first met him. Yeah. But he was sort of mentally, he's kind of on his way. He didn't eat a lot of meat, and what he did buy, he paid a ton of money because it was from the farms that are really free-range chickens, not the ones in the store that say free-range on there, but really they're all out in the field and stuff. And so he paid a lot more for this food. And so, I sort of kind of nudged him a little bit. I didn't tell him hey, it's over if you don't do it, but I think he saw how easy it was for me to do it, that it wasn't a huge effort. And then he slowly became, and now he doesn't eat any at all. And
wow. Yeah, so you can make it work.
Yeah, but honestly, like long term, it would definitely be hard to do it. Like I was glad he did that. It wasn't like a deal breaker, but I know like in a long term setting, that would have been something that may have made it very difficult. Yeah, for sure.
Well, so where are we at right now? Let's get a little plug for where we're at real quick.
Oh, we are at the inaugural, AVA, which is Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit in Alexandria, Virginia, which is right outside of Washington, D.C., where I live. So this is the first of this conference here, AVA Summit. There's 700 plus people come from all over the United States and all over the world. There's people from Africa and Australia and UK, and I met 2 women from India.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, everywhere. They're from all over the place. Yeah, Brazil is very represented here. Yeah. So there's a lot of people coming together, and the food is great. Like the Hilton, it's called the Hilton Mark Center, did like great job like working with the AVA staff to make like vegan lunches and breakfast for us and snacks, and they just did an awesome job, and we keep thanking the chef, like writing these little thank you notes, and it's great. And there's exhibitors, there's tons of sessions to go to on everything from like vegan 101 all the way up to like being like an activist, like going out and protesting or like lobbying your congressperson or so. So it has something for everyone who's interested in the field.
And what's next, man? You got any other kind of events that you're excited to check out that people might be interested in?
I don't know if there's any others.
I wonder if they're doing Vegan Summerfest anymore.
Oh, I went to that one time.
Did you like it? I love it.
Oh, I think I gained about 5 pounds because the food, we don't get to go to like places where a buffet is vegan. It's always, like, oh, here's the vegan section. This is what we can have. At Vegetarian Summerfest, it was all vegan, not vegetarian.
Vegan.
Yeah, and so everything there was like free for eating. You didn't have to ask any questions. You didn't have to see if there was cheese in there, or everything was vegan. So it was just like it was like a kid in a vegan candy store.
And that's
like So I went wild there. So I really did. Like I think I gained 5 pounds.
That's definitely my favorite.
It was like the first time I really had been at a buffet where everything was vegan. Like it was just phenomenal. Just like here. Like for the lunches and stuff, it's all vegan too. So this is a few years ago.
The only difference is they got like they have like your junk food bar, your raw bar, your whole plant food.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's just an amazing variety. And this one, for being their inaugural one, it's been epic.
Some of the staff lives right here in the DC area, so I'm sure they've made countless trips to here to the Hilton to work with the chef and like really like. Because it's more than just, oh, we don't want chicken or we don't want pork. Like you have to go down to like, we don't want this kind of salad dressing out there because it has whey in it, or we don't want this because there's, eggs in the cake or something like that. So like the little nuances that maybe most people don't think of because it's not the obvious hunk of meat. They worked with Hilton here and did a great job.
You got a quote you want to share real quick?
Let's say, like, go vegan and just do yourself a favor. Like you'll love the food, the people are great, and really you'll feel better. You'll feel better about yourself.
Not necessarily a quote, but a good closing comment. It's been fun hanging out, man.
Great. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Cool beans.